Welcome to DFHowTo. This episode is on the specifics of how biomes will affect you when choosing an embark location. Let's get to it. Each region can have multiple biomes, such as an ocean. This ocean is called the reputed waters, and here we see it's listed as the Arctic Ocean. Moving north a little, we can see it becomes a temperate ocean in the same region. It's simply there to give you a bit of reference. What you're going to care about are the values below it. Mountains and water-only sites are unavailable to embark on. Glacier and tundra can be embarked upon, but they're very tough places to live. Everything else is doable depending on the rest of the settings. The next concern you'll have is the climate, listed as the temperature. This will mostly affect your water availability, but it can affect above-ground farming as well. If it's freezing, assume you can't farm there. One pole will be ice and freezing, moving away from it gets warmer. The easiest temperature to deal with is warm. Hot and scorching biomes will dry up surface water other than rivers at various rates, though you might keep some in winter. Temperate, cold, and freezing biomes will freeze water on the surface, including rivers, over winter. Depending on how bad it is, will depend on if you ever have unfrozen water. Trees are pretty simple. Either you have them or you don't. If you don't have wood until you breach the caverns. A critical component of the fortress, beds, can only be made from wood, so find wood. Other vegetation is bushes, crop plants, and general grass on the surface at your embark point. These items can allow you to deal with grazing animals much easier before you can get moss growing underground, as well as supplement your farming, diet, and alcohol needs. Surroundings is a cross between the alignment of an area, which is either good, neutral, or evil, and the savagery of an area, which is benign, normal, or savage. It will have an effect on what plants can grow in an area, as well as what types of creatures are native. The evil areas are usually indicated by purple on the map. A brook or stream is different than a river in that your dwarves and enemies can cross it without bridging it. The list of items below this information will tell you what's available for a particular biome. You'll notice this biome has sand and clay, which are useful for production items later. Very deep soil allows for easy access to setting up underground farms before we deal with water and stone. The aquifer is something as a new player you'll want to avoid at first. It's a layer of soil that constantly floods. There are ways to deal with it, but I'll be showing you that later. A particular note here in the list is shallow metal and deep metals. Notice the plural difference. That's something to keep an eye out for. Finally, there's fluxstone here. That means I'll have a local source to combine with iron to make steel with. Changing biomes, I have an area with no shallow metals and a single deep metal. The other two biomes aren't impressive in their own right. If you're looking for combat metals, you want the shallow metals. Iron, coal, and flux are almost all in the sedimentary layer, which is shallow. Finally, let's take a look at using the find mechanic. Hit F to bring it up. This is a search mechanism to allow us to look for particular sites of interest. XY is the size of the site we're looking to build on. NA means we don't care about the value in that particular entry. Savagery is high, medium, or low. Evil is high, medium, or low here as well, but you want to think of that as low is good, medium is neutral, and high is evil. Elevation and temperature are straightforward. Rain will be how often that particular climate gets rainstorms. This can be important if you're relying on digging ponds and cisterns to get water without a river before you get to the cavern lakes or work with an aquifer. Drainage is more involved in the world building components and applies to what type of biomes result from the rain and the elevation. You typically won't care about that. Fluxstone layer is needed for steel, so set that to yes. A note about finding fluxstone, however. Flux doesn't always appear in either the biome list nor via the find mechanic due to some under-the-hood concerns. If you can't find a site you like with flux turned to yes, try leaving it NA. You'll typically have some anyway. Aquifer is set to no unless you want some extra fun. River is yes or no. Pick your poison. Shallow metal and deep metal are multiple, yes, no, or none. Multiple means you want a site with more than one type of those metals available. I recommend you set shallow metal to multiple and leave deep metal as NA. Soil is less than or equal to. Set it to deep if you want to farm easily. Finally, for clay, it's a yes-no. I typically leave this as NA. When ready, hit enter and let it complete its process. In this case, I found nothing. To change your search, simply use your arrow keys to maneuver to what you want to adjust, make the adjustment, and hit enter to search again. If you want to browse the results, hit the escape key, and you can move around like normal with the search filter now up. The giant screen of flashing red X's means I have no sites that match. To repeat the process, if you don't like any of the results, hit F twice, and you'll be back in the search screen with your old settings. With some changes, you can see I found some likely sites where it's flashing green instead of blinking red everywhere. If I maneuver over there, it'll highlight a likely spot for me in the local map with stability off. One of my biomes has shallow metals under an aquifer, and all 3 of these locations have an aquifer. I'll have to decide if this is really where I want to embark or not. If I do, I hit E, and I get a warning that there's an aquifer here to make sure I'm where I want to be. Since I am, I'll hit enter, and we go to the next stage of embarking, which is preparing your dwarves for their journey and arrival. We'll cover that in the next episode, and I'll see you there.